Okay, so basically, if you're trying to learn how to burp this, I'm gonna show you real quick. All right, so first, you're gonna want to take this off so you depressurize the system. Take your cap off the reservoir right there. And then right here, there's an Allen key bolt. So if you're looking at your engine bay like this, you open up the hood, you're right here. You're gonna come down here, right past your intake. Right here, there's this bolt right here. That bolt, it's a regular old Allen key. Right here, that's the size. It's a 5/16 Allen key. Basically, you're just gonna take this off right here. If I can get this key on here, just gonna. The nose on there pretty good, which it's supposed to be, but all right. So this is what you're working with right here, 5/16. You're gonna want to put this somewhere so you make sure you don't lose it. Now that that's open and that's open, because you got that open, when you start filling that up, it's gonna start bleeding all the air through here. So the air is gonna start coming through this. Anyways, as soon as you get this open, this is gonna where all the air and everything comes out, because this right here is this. Underneath this is your thermostat. So this goes right into here, bleeds all the air out, because it's gonna go in all the way down through the bottom of the engine, come up, go through the radiator, come through the radiator, come up through here, burp. This way it's gonna push all the air out. This is gonna be what you put, obviously you put your coolant in here, and this is where the air is gonna be also escaping from there. When this starts, this is gonna start gushing out fluid. You're gonna want it to start coming out at like a decent rate. When it starts coming out at a decent rate, that's when you know that you're gonna have to put that cap back on here. This is the coolant I'm using. Just some basic generic stuff from AutoZone. So right now I got my finger cover in this hole so I can show you. Technically, you're gonna want like some kind of funnel on there, so that way it can keep filling itself up and yeah. But right now the coolant's not moving. As soon as I take my finger off of this, that, the coolant's going down and you can hear it bubbling up inside there. So now you're just gonna want to keep filling this and make sure it doesn't run out. Because if it runs out inside the reservoir, then it's gonna put air back into your system. Oh, see, just like that. And that should be relatively good. This is what I'm gonna do. Since I plugged that with my finger, I'm gonna fill this up with more coolant. And then I'm gonna unplug it with my finger. Sorry, this video is kind of ghetto. I don't got no kind of setup. I'm just trying to show you guys how to do this because there's no videos on YouTube that shows you how to do this correctly. So now that I got more coolant in there, the nuts right here. I'm gonna take my finger out of here. I'm gonna hurry up and screw this back on. Once I start getting that back on, it's on there pretty tight. Get covered in coolant. Because we don't wear gloves around here. We don't believe in bitch mittens. Once we get those, start tightening on. And technically, you don't need the engine running in order to burp the system. Like I said, you just take this bolt off, start dumping in coolant. It's the easiest way to do this without no special like tools or funnels or anything like that. It's just you got to stay on top of it so that way you don't let no air get into the system. By any means, I will let you know this, I am not a professional mechanic, so if you do take my advice and do it like this, don't come after me saying that your car blew up or whatever you want to say. It shouldn't. If your car blows up, then you did something drastically wrong. Another thing you could do is squeeze the hose. As you're squeezing the hose, you're going to see the coolant level move. Now this is relatively the time that you want to start the car, but I'm gonna get a rag and clean all this coolant off this belt because I don't need the belt slipping or anything like that. Once you make sure that this is back on here nice and tight, you're gonna want to fill this up as much coolant as you can. See right here, it doesn't matter how far you go, because as soon as you get up to that little hole right there, this is your overflow. So this is what, if you start filling it up over this cap, over this little hole right here, it'll start taking the fluid, running it out, you know, start draining it by itself. As long as you're not like dumping a bunch in here and it starts overflowing out of the cap, you're fine. So now we're in the step of the process where we're going to want to start the vehicle. When we start it, there's going to be a bunch of air bubbles trying to escape out of here because there's still technically more air in the line. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. All right, now that she's started, as it's running, you're going to want to just squeeze the hose. Just trying to get as much air as you can out of the system. And as you can see right here, pulling in coolant right now. And as it starts to warm up, let me back up so the engine's not that loud. As it starts to warm up, your coolant reservoir, there will be bubbles. Where's my finger? Right there. There will be bubbles going up, and you'll see the coolant level start going down. That's how the air starts escaping out of there. You can squeeze the hose. That hose right here, this is the upper hose. It's the easiest one to get to. Squeeze the hose. It'll help work all that air out of the system. This vehicle hit a deer, so that's why the whole front end's tore out. Had to replace, took out the radiator, got it tested. The radiator's fine. It was the AC condenser right here, the shiny new part. I didn't get a video on that because I don't know. I'm just realizing how to do this YouTube thing right here. But yeah, that's how you bleed your bleed and or burp your system. Quick little recap. This bolt, 5/16, you take that out. You pour in coolant up there. As you're pouring in the coolant, air will start escaping. There will be a solid stream of coolant coming out of that bolt. That's when you put the bolt back on and tighten that bolt back up, top the reservoir off with more coolant, and then after you do that, it should be good to go relatively. Like I said, squeeze the hose, and then you're going to want to let the vehicle run for about 10 minutes so that way it can get all the air out of the system. And you know, if you guys thought this video was helpful, leave a like, share it, so that way there's actually more information on how to do this, because it took me a little while to figure it out where that bolt was. But we ended off with that. Have a great one.